Let's talk about integration. Integration. So, let me know how this story sounds familiar for you. You're in ceremony, in any kind of ceremony that takes you out of your ordinary state of consciousness and into a non-ordinary state or an expanded state of consciousness, whether it's ayahuasca, cacao, breath work, a pilgrimage, a sweat lodge, anything that can take you out into a more expanded state. And you just feel so alive with your purpose. You know who you are. Your song comes alive. You feel so connected to everybody. You just feel yourself. For the most part, there's this experience of that epiphany. And then the coming days after, you're still so inspired. You're still riding the high. You feel the magic is within you. And then 4 days later, 3 days later, a week later, you feel that fall from grace. You land in reality, into everyday life. And sometimes it's hard to land into that everyday life. And that feeling is so common. I hear people talk about all the time. I experience that myself all the time. And it's interesting, the concept of integration, because it's such a Western concept. And the reason why it's such a Western concept is because in non-Western, non-modern cultures, integration is integrated into the experience of ceremony because people live in tribes and community, and they're not just going off and doing medicine ceremony with some random person they never met, serving the medicine or offering the ceremony, and then all these people they've never met either, and a bunch of strangers, and then you're separated and alone and having to deal with this looking God in the eye or the mystery in the eye and trying to bring that into your life. And it's hard because we live very individualized lives. We live in a very individualized, narcissistic society. And so integration then becomes a conscious choice, and it becomes something that we have to choose, we have to do. And it's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy to integrate because the biggest part of integration is feeling your place on this earth. And I remember talking to a Lakota elder once, and he said that, the reason why so many of us are depressed now is because we don't know our place. We don't have our place in our community. We are individualized. We live in 4 walls, alone, staring at a screen all day. And we're so disconnected, more disconnected than we've ever been before. And so just food for thought, that if you feel disconnected today, following up on a ceremony, you're having a hard time integrating, you find yourself wanting to go back to ceremony time and time again just to taste the nectar of transcendence, know that you're not alone, and that this is something that we must do. And for me, true integration practice is living in community, finding community, staying put, finding community. In the olden days, shamans would travel and they would share their practices with each other, and then they would keep traveling, but they still had their tribe that they traveled with. They weren't traveling alone, most of them. And now we're always traveling, but we mostly travel alone. We can't stay put with a partner. We can't stay put with a person or a place. We're always moving, looking, searching outwards, because we're actually looking for our place. And so I wonder what it would look like in a world where we lived in tribes, in small villages, communities, triads, hubs, families, multifamily, compounds, if we would be able to pull it together and to integrate ceremonies and not have to go back time and time again to experience the healing and the magic and to be held accountable, to make the changes. This is what I learned, and now I'm going to integrate that into my everyday life. This is what I learned about myself, a pattern that's not helpful. This is how I'm going to shift it in my everyday life and not just forget about it. I always joke around with all my students, it's so easy to forget, it's so hard to remember our magic and the things that happen and come to us when we are connected. So this is my food for thought. I'm curious to hear for you, what helps you in integration. Do you live in community? What kinds of practices does your community do together? I'd love to hear from you all, and blessed be.